Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravara Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravara Dari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabi Hari Jayam Swa Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pavajakacharya Asatar Satasi Simad Abhay Charnarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Swa Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pavajakacharya Asatar Satasi Simad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sri Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Me Ki Jai Yamuna Me Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali. Text number 6. Yas Tvam Krishne Gate Duram Saha Gandiva Danvana Sochyan, Asi, Asochan, Rasi, Praharan, Vadham, Arhasi, Yastam Krishna Kati Doram, Sahagandiva Danvana, Sochosya Yochan Rasi, Bahran Vadam Arhasi, Yastam Krishna Kate Doram, Sahagandiva Danvana, Sochosya Sochan Rahasi, Brahran Vadam Arhasi, Ram Krishna Kate Doram, Sahagandiva Danvana, Sochosya Sochan Rahasi, Praharan Vadam Arhasi,
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram
Yastam Krishna Kate Doram,
Sahagandhi Vadanvana
Sahagandiva Danvana,
Shocho Shashochan Rahasi
Sochosya Sochan Rahasi,
Praharan Vadamarhasi.
Praharan Vadam Arhasi.
Duram
Yastam Krishna Kate Doram,
Sahagan Gandhi Vadanvana Shochosya Shoschan Rahasi Praharan Vadham Arhasi Yastvam Krishna Gate Dura
Yastam Krishna Kate Doram,
Sahagandhi Vadanvana
Sahagandiva Danvana,
Sochyo Sasochan Rahasi Praharan Vadham Arhasi Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Sahagandiva Davana Sochoshi Ashuchian Rahasi Praharan Vadam Adasi
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Sahagandhi Vadanvana Shochosya Shochan Rahasi
Sochan Rahasi,
Praharan Vadam Arhasi
Praharan Vadam Arhasi.
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Sahagandiva Dhanvana Sochosi Asochan Rahasi Haranan Varam Arasi
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Sahagandhi Vadanvana Shochosya Shochan Rahasi Praharan Vadam Arhasi
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Sahagandhi Vadanvana Shochosya Shochan Rahasi Praharan Vandam Arhasi.
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Sahagandhi Vadanvana
Gandhara
Shochasya Shochan Rahasi
Sachamarasi
Praharan Vadamarhasi.
Any devotees online?
Yastvam Krishna Gate Duram Saha Gandhi Vadanvana Shocho Shasho Chanrahasi Praharan Vadamarasi.
Ya, on the count of Tvam, you rogue, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Gate, having gone away, Duram, out of sight, Saha, along with, Gandiva, the bow named Gandiva, Danvana, the carrier, Arjuna, Socha, culprit, Asi, you are considered, Ashochan, innocent, Rasi, in a secluded place, Praharan, beating, Vadham, to be killed, Arasi, deserve. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. You rogue, do you dare beat an innocent cow because Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the carrier of the Gandiva bow, are out of sight? Since you are beating the innocent in a secluded place, you are considered a culprit and therefore deserve to be killed. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In a civilization where God is conspicuously banished and there is no devotee warrior like Arjuna, the associates of the age of Kali take advantage of this lawless kingdom and arrange to kill innocent animals like the cow in secluded slaughterhouses. Such murderers of animals stand to be condemned to death by the order of a pious king like Maharaj Parikshit. For a pious king, the culprit who kills an animal in a secluded place is punishable by the death penalty, exactly like a murderer who kills an innocent child in a secluded place. So this translation and purport are very valuable instructions. This action of King Parikshit is exemplary. He was a ruler of this earth planet. And he was not only a ruler, but he was a saintly ruler. He was the representative of God or Krishna because he was submissive to the Brahmin class. So this first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is very basic. It's very important for all of humanity to learn. This first canto is called Creation. This creation is a manifestation of the energy of God. But we can understand this as a creation. In order for there to be a creation, there must be a creator. Nowadays, people are fond of being lovers of nature, but nature is the energy of God. And where there is nature, there is the origin of nature, or the husband of Mother Nature, who is Krishna or God. When I was in Vrindavan in the year 2012, Dhanavir Maharaj was there giving discourses on Vedic cosmology. It was very nectarian classes Maharaj was giving in Vrindavan. And generally people go to Vrindavan to hear about the Leela of Radha and Krishna. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never discussed in public the Leela of Radha and Krishna. You won't find in the history of Chaitanya's life that he discussed Radha Krishna Leela for the people in general. Because this is confidential subject matter. And in order to understand the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, one first must understand Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra Leela. You must understand the Leela of, you must understand the knowledge of Varnashram Dharma. Jai, Sisi Gaura-Nitai. So this universe is the energy of God. Krishna has multifarious energies, but this energy is the inferior energy of God. Besides this, there is a superior energy, which is the three-quarters manifestation of God's energies, which is far away from this material universe, which is full of suffering, and it's temporary. But even though it's temporary, it can't be used in Krishna's service. And this Vedas, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the guidebook. It's the instruction manual for how to utilize God's energy for the proper purpose. And nowadays in Kali Yuga, no one knows how to use this energy, which we see manifested before us. So for Krishna, there is no difference between material and spiritual, because in the first slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that the absolute truth is the origin of everything. Krishna is the origin of both good and evil. He's the origin of matter and spirit. And this verse is glorifying Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna and Arjuna are the new deities in ISKCON. I was on the internet yesterday and I saw that wonderful news in Kurukshetra. There's a magnificent temple coming up in Kurukshetra and Jyotisar, which is the most important spot in Kurukshetra, because in Jyotisar, under a banyan tree is still there after 5,000 years. That's the place where Krishna spoke this immortal knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And Prabhupada was in Kurukshetra in the year 1975 with his devotees Gopal Krishna Maharaj and also other disciples. And Prabhupada gave directions. He wanted this Krishna and Arjuna temple to be built there in Jyotisar. And there are three altars. On the left, there's Sisi Gaura-Nitai. On the right, there's Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. And in the middle, there's Krishna and Arjuna. This Krishna and Arjuna temple is unique in the world, and it's so magnificent that it's breathtaking. Even in the construction stages, it's a very magnificent temple coming up in Kurukshetra. And there's a clip from Srila Prabhupada's previous lecture where Prabhupada says, Kurukshetra is Dharma Kshetra. Kurukshetra is the place of Krishna. Krishna is there. And if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, then go to Kurukshetra. And Kurukshetra was a place very dear to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and also Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They preferred Kurukshetra as the real place of bhajan. Because in Kurukshetra, the age of Kali is not yet manifested. When I was in Vrindavan and Mayapur, you could see that even in the Dham, there are agents of Kali still there. You could see people eating meat. When you go to bathe in the Ganga, there are people fishing and other non-devotees doing mischievous activities in the holy Dham. But in Kurukshetra, it's still relatively pure, and you could feel Krishna's presence. You could feel Arjuna's presence there. Once when I was here in Kansas City, in Kansas City, there was a protest demonstration. There was a group of protesters protesting capital punishment. They were saying capital punishment is inhumane. This is cruel punishment. But no, this is not cruel punishment, because by the Manu Samhita it says that if a murderer is condemned to death, this is good for that culprit, because in the next life he will not have to go to hell. Just like if a surgeon does a surgical operation, even though he's cutting a patient with a knife, he's trying to help that patient. He's not doing it out of malice. He's doing it out of love, because he wants to cure that patient of cancer or some other disease. So sometimes surgery is necessary. Sometimes violence in this material world, unfortunately, sometimes it's necessary. But a devotee like Arjuna, he knows the proper use of violence. He uses violence in appropriate cases, like in the case of Kali. This rascal was attacking a cow. So such a person deserves to be killed, because he's killing the praja. The praja includes everyone. This is equality. In the Black Lives Matters protest, they were holding signs saying, "No justice, no peace." So this is true. Where there's no justice, there cannot be peace. So those who are killing cows, those who are killing unborn children in the womb, these people must be brought to justice. They must be dealt a suitable punishment. Otherwise, there cannot be peace. This is a universal principle. And these principles of Srimad Bhagavatam are applicable in all times and all places in the world. So now that abortion is illegal in the state of Missouri, you go 3 miles to the west in Kansas, in the state of Kansas, abortion is legal, because people are on the platform nowadays of mental speculation. Whatever the mob wants, the mob gets. This is the government of the people. But if the people are not twice born, it's a fool's paradise. It's a government of fools and rascals. So this is the unfortunate situation now in Kali Yuga, because Krishna and Arjuna are not present. There's no Kshatriyas, there are no Brahmins to guide the society in general. So society is going in the wrong direction, and the representatives of Kali are becoming more powerful, unfortunately. So we have to push on this Krishna consciousness movement. It's very difficult, but we have to do it even at the risk of death. Like the Kshatriyas have to defeat the enemy even at the risk of death. So if someone comes here to attack the deities, a devotee has to be prepared to lay down his life for the protection of the deities. We have to be prepared to lay down our life for the protection of another devotee if a devotee is attacked with deadly weapons. We learned this in 1973 when the rogues attacked the temple in New Vrindavan. The main temple in those days was in Bahulaban. The main temple that's there now was not constructed until 1983. But in 1973, C.C. Radhavendra Chandra were in the forest of Bahulaban. That's a separate temple that's no longer existing. It's no longer manifest. But Prabhupada was disappointed that even though we had been attacked before by the demons, there was no counterattack. There was no defense. So Prabhupada, you could read Prabhupada's letters to Kirtananda Swami. He says, "Why do you not have guns? You must get guns." And since these rascals, they promised before they left that we're going to return and burn Vrindavan down to the ground. So Prabhupada instructed Kirtananda Swami, you could read this in Prabhupada's letters, that if the demons come back, you must kill them. So after that, I was appointed one of the first Kshatriyas in New Vrindavan, and also Kirtananda Maharaj. After that, he learned how to shoot a revolver, and whenever you saw Kirtananda Swami in those days, he was always armed with a handgun in a holster around his waist. So because there's an absence of Brahmins and Kshatriyas, there's a need for those in today's society. And if Vaishnava can act in any capacity for the service of the Lord, even though Kirtananda Maharaj was a bona fide Brahmin, still there's a need for Kshatriyas also. Because a Vaishnava can act in any capacity for the service of the Lord. It's like Parshuram was born in a family of Brahmins. He was the son of Jamadagni, a Brahmin, but he acted as a Kshatriya, and he killed all of the Kshatriyas of the world 21 times. And if you go to Kurukshetra, you can see those legs that were created by Parshuram. They're legs of blood, from the blood of the Kshatriyas of the world. And those lakes are now the purest water. And 5,000 years ago, after the time of Parshuram, Krishna and Balaram went to those lakes, and they bathed in the water there, because the water was formerly the blood of the Kshatriyas. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, Mridanga Prabhu.
Where in India are those lakes of Lord Parashram?
They're located in a place called, in Kurukshetra is a huge area. It's so huge no one can even measure it. But there's a specific place called Samantapachaka. And when there's a solar eclipse, Krishna and Balaram, along with many members of the Yadu dynasty, they traveled from Dwarka to Kurukshetra, and Krishna and Balaram bathed in those lakes that were created by Parshuram. It's a holy place named Samantapachaka. And also, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta built a magnificent pink temple at the place called Brahmasarovar. That's one of the lakes where Krishna and Balaram took their bath. Mathuranath Prabhu.
Was there ever any bloodshed over the Archavigraha form of the Lord in the early days of ISKCON?
Yes, I was there in 1973 in the New Vrindavan. The this motorcycle gang came during Srimad Bhagavatam class. Kirtananda Maharaj was giving class, and I was sitting there, Kirtananda Maharaj, and over my right shoulder, suddenly I saw this barrel of a rifle poking through the window. And Varshana Maharaj, at that time, he was known as Bhakta Jack. He was in the Bhakta program, and I was called Bhakta Ken. And Bhakta Jack, he was sitting next to the rifle barrel, and he grabbed that rifle barrel, and he overpowered that rifleman and took that rifle and smashed it on the marble temple floor. And after that, we didn't know there were other demons outside the temple, but they came in. This motorcycle gang came in armed with revolvers, a sawed-off shotgun, Jarashisi Gornatai, and rifles, and they shot several of my god brothers. And when the shooting stopped, I saw they were my god brothers lying on the temple room floor, bleeding. Any more comments or questions?
I was wondering that I've heard that all of Krishna's Leelas are eternal, but how to understand like the battlefield of Kurukshetra Leela is eternal because it's like a big material mess that caused that whole war. So that wouldn't, to my understanding, that wouldn't happen in the spiritual world. So I'd understand that is an eternal Leela.
Yeah, this is Krishna's eternal roadshow. Right now, the Battle of Kurukshetra is going on. And at any moment, there's a Battle of Kurukshetra. And when Prabhupada came to Kurukshetra in 1975, he told Ambarish that the Battle of Kurukshetra is eternally going on. And in some other universe, the same thing is happening right now. In some other universe, Krishna is instructing Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita. Somewhere Krishna is killing a demon. Somewhere Krishna is dancing with the gopis. These are leelas. These are eternal pastimes that take place in various universes in this material world.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing that story with us. It really shows that, the devotion that the devotees have, and how this movement is going through so many different phases, and we're called to act for Krishna in so many different ways. I wanted to ask, how did you react or feel when you were asked to defend the temple, and was that against your nature, or was it in your nature, and how can we as younger devotees learn how to act for Krishna even if it's against our nature?
Yes, that's a good question. Krishna says to Arjuna, abandon all varieties of dharma and just surrender unto me. So, surrender means whatever Krishna says, you must do. And you must know what Krishna wants. And we can know what Krishna wants by the order of the spiritual master. And even though I had no military experience previously, I had never fought with anybody in my whole life, but I was angry that this motorcycle gang shot up a group of unarmed devotees. So this is unjust. So I was angry, and I learned how to shoot a rifle. So after that, one of my services was staying up at night and guarding C.C. Radhavardhana Chandra's temple at night. And it was wonderful because as soon as we followed Prabhupada's instructions of getting guns, immediately all the demons backed away, and the motorcycle gang never came back to New Vrindavan. And years later, there was a Sankirtan party, and one of the Madhajis who was distributing books met a man in a wheelchair, and this man said he was formerly one of the demons who attacked the temple in New Vrindavan, and he had been in a horrible accident, and now he was repentant. So our business in preaching Krishna's consciousness is to turn the demons into devotees. By Lord Chaitanya's grace, it's possible. And I was hearing this class by godbrother Achyutananda Maharaj, and he said he was one of the first disciples of Srila Prabhupada in 1966. He was at the first initiation at 26 Second Avenue in New York City, and he said that in the beginning, when the Hare Krishna movement, one day Srila Prabhupada said, each of you must wash dishes for one day a week, and we need volunteers. So one devotee volunteered for Monday, someone else volunteered for Tuesday, but no one else volunteered. So then Srila Prabhupada spoke up, I will wash dishes on Thursdays. And immediately 3 hands shot up. So Prabhupada was expert in leading by example. So if one is in a position of management, he has to surrender to doing anything that needs to be done, whether it's cleaning the toilet or washing the dishes or going out distributing books. There are varieties of service that need to be done to maintain the temple. And to build a temple, like the temple going up in Kurukshetra, we saw how much anxiety Srila Prabhupada voluntarily took just to build the great temples that Prabhupada and Prabhupada's disciples are building in India. It takes a great deal of anxiety. There's always resistance from the demoniac class. Even in India, there are people of a demoniac mentality that sometimes oppose the Sankirtan movement. So we have to be tolerant. We have to push on the Krishna consciousness movement despite all kinds of opposition. And if we remain obedient to Guru and Krishna, then success is assured. Because in the last verse in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, Yata Yogeshvara Krishna Yata Pata Dhanurdhara Datasri Vajo Bhatir Tujravanatir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. It's time for the Sankirtan Festival. Thank you for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to this divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Rishi, are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's begin.
Jai, thank you
The
so much for
nectar.
the class, Krishna Shravana Prabhu. So for this week, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we had 11 book distributors. Haribol. And now we'll read the scores for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, the Sampradaya Acharyas, Tulsi Maharani, and Sri Gaur-Nitai. So in 11th position, with 4 transcendental magazines for a total of 0.4 book points, Julan Yatra Prabhu. In 10th position, and Bhakti Gio has some Maha bananas for everyone.
Haribol, Bhakti Gio.
Haribol. In 10th position, with 6 small books, 2 medium books, 1 big book, and 1 Maha big book, for a total of 5.5 book points, Mridanga Prabhu. Haribol.
Haribol.
Anand. I'll explain it after the score. Then in the 9th position, with 1 small, 1 medium, 4 big books, 5 Maha big books, for a total of 14.75 book points, Ananda Prabhu.
Haribol.
He may have done more books in Atlanta, but this was from some Saptarishi set that he had distributed last week that wasn't recorded.
Haribol.
In 8th position, with 2 small books, 3 big books, 4 Maha big books, for a total of 11.5 book points, Radhastali Devidasi.
Haribol.
In 7th position, with 9 small books, 5 medium books, 5 big books, 6 Maha big books, for a total of 21.75 book points, Bhakti Jacob Prabhu.
Haribol.
In 6th position, with 11 small books, 8 medium books, 8 big books, and 8 Maha big books, for a total of 30.75 book points, Bhakti Gio Prabhu.
Bhakti Gio, Haribol.
In 5th position, with 1 magazine, 10 small books, 6 medium books, 12 big books, and 7 Maha big books, for a total of 31.6 book points, Magadari Prabhu.
Haribol.
In 4th position, with 5 small books and 1 Srimad Bhagavatam set, for a total of 73.25 book points, Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. In 3rd position, with 20 magazines, 8 Arabic small books, 64 small books, 64 medium books, 64 big books, and 64 Maha big books, for a total of 266 book points, Maturnath Prabhu.
Haribol.
In 2nd position, with 2 Arabic small books, 1 Arabic Bhagavad Gita, 4 magazines, 118 small books, 119 medium books, 105 big books, and 104 Maha big books, for a total of 414.4 book points, Rishi Kumar Das.
Haribol.
In 1st place, with
Haribol.
96 Arabic small books,
Whoa.
and 17 Arabic Bhagavad Gitas,
Whoa.
181 small books,
Whoa!
144 medium books,
Oh.
118 big books, and 129 Maha big books, for a total of 787.25 book points. Bhakti Avatar Prabhu.
Haribo!
So the Rupanuga Vedic College total for this week is 29 magazines, 104 Arabic small books, 18 Arabic Bhagavad Gitas, 1 Srimad Bhagavatam set, 407 small books, 349 medium books, 320 big books, and 328 Maha big books, for a total of 1,657.15 book points. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yay!
Bhakti Avatar Prabhu, would you share a highlight? Maybe you could tell us how you got out so many Arabic small books.
Well, the Arabic small book is I just give it to everybody and tell them to distribute to an Arabic person.
Haribo!
I remember hearing I saw this post or something, and they were glorifying how we need to distribute Arabic books, so I figured I could do that. So I have been doing that. But as a highlight, it was a very good week, met lots of nice people, but on the last day, after a long week of book distribution, Sunday at the festival, which we had gone to all week, talked to lots of materialistic people, which is a little bit taxing on the body and the mind. I got out there on Sunday and pretty much just out of nowhere comes His Grace, Julian Yatra Prabhu, and we just talked for an hour and distributed some books, and then now he's here at the temple, so it was definitely probably the highlight of my entire book distribution career. So, Hare Krishna.
I'll say a highlight. We went to the mall. There's a small mall in Ward Parkway Center, and there's a store called Five Below where everything's less than $5, and there was this older lady there. She kind of looked like a country type of person, and I just walked up and I showed her the Sapta Rishi set. She had a shirt that said New York on it, and I said, "Are you from New York?" She was like, "No," and I was like, "Oh, just a fan or something like that?" She's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh, cool, we've got a nice temple in New York." And then I showed her the books, and I was just telling her a little bit about the Saptarishi set, and she was pretty happy about it. And then she went to give a donation, but something wasn't working with her phone, so she pulled up her bank, and there was only $179, but she gave 49 out of that. And at that it was right when she was giving the donation, Bhakti Avatar and Krishna Bhagavan were contacting my phone, and I felt like it was their mercy that she was taking the books. So it was nice. She took the Saptarishi, and she was really happy. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Maturnath Prabhu, would you share a highlight from this week?
Hare Krishna. So we went to Target earlier this week, which I thought was pretty cool. There's a lot of favorable people in Target, but the security, they stay on the prowl. And I watched Bhakti Avatar get busted twice while I was in Target. Well, he got busted inside and then outside. And I was getting on some books in Target, so I decided, okay, I'm going to just lay low. I'm going to kind of be really sneaky. And somehow I avoided security, and I knew they were walking around looking for us because they had their walkie-talkies out. They were snooping around, looking for the devotees to get them out of Target. And in this endeavor of avoiding security, I went up to a mother and a daughter. The daughter was maybe 40 and the mother was maybe 60 or around there. And basically, I told them about the books, and they were really, really into it. And turns out they were from very near where I grew up, and they moved out here. And just yesterday, they both agreed to buy like yoga mats, and they wanted to start practicing yoga together. So it was a perfect arrangement for them to practice the highest yoga and make very quick progress rather than making, some short progress that takes a long time. So Transcendental Book Distribution Key.
Haribol. Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu, would you give us a highlight?
Hare Krishna. So on Saturday, there was an Indian couple that came and to the temple around 7 when all the devotees were out, and they actually called the temple earlier, and I didn't answer the phone, but Magadari did, and he suggested that they come at 7, even though they saw on the Google that we're closed after 2:30. And so it was actually the lady's birthday, and so she wanted to come. Last year she came on her birthday and bought quite a few books and got some japa beads. And so I had texted, when she called, "Can I call you later?" that custom message. And she said, okay. And then I texted and I said, "Is there something you need?" And she was saying that she wanted to come. And I said, "Well, we're closed." And she was like, "Well, it's my birthday. I wanted to come and buy some books." And I was thinking, okay, well, I don't know if anybody's going to be here. But it just so happened that I was able to be here. So I told her that, yeah, okay, we'll make an exception for you for your birthday. You can come and just text me when you're here. So they came and we did core RT, and then they went back they wanted some books, and she showed me what books she had. She basically had like all of the big books that we have. And she said she's been reading like 2 pages a day every morning. That's been her sadhana. And so she's been quite convinced about Krishna consciousness. They're both doctors, this couple. And so she said she had read the first part of the first canto of Bhagavatam, the one we distribute. And so she wanted just the next part. And then I showed her the set. I said, well, we have the set. So this is, and I was explaining about the set, the importance of it. And she was kind of like, yeah. And then eventually they conceded, okay, yeah, we'll get the set. How much is it? I said, well, for your birthday, we'll give you a discount. And so they're even more excited to take the set. And so they took the set, gave a check donation, and the rest is history. Transcendental Book Distribution, Ki Jai. Actually, this lady's very serious. She was asking about initiation and what should she do, and I told her she should start chanting japa and reading also. So, Haribol.
Amazing. Haribol. If Magadari is in the kitchen, would he be able to give a highlight just over the Zoom? Oh, something happened.
I think Magadar can do that.
Oh, Haribol.
So actually, I did most of the books out on the Harinam at the Loose Park. Harinam at Loose Park is pretty cool because there's a lot of really favorable people there. Actually, I guess Kansas City is just pretty favorable all around. But at Loose Park, I met one guy. He said he was in town. He's like a barge surveyor. and he came in and he wanted to go into nature, so he went to Lewis Park. And I was actually just leaving, but I just looked at him and I just waved, or I pointed at him or something. And then he stopped and he was like taking me seriously, which usually if you give somebody some gesture or something, usually they just walk away anyway, which is kind of weird actually. But he stopped. He's like, "Hey, what do you want?" I was like, "Hey, like, you seem pretty cool. Let me get out of the car." And so I chatted with him for a bit, and he was pretty relaxed, and he took a stack of books and he showed me something. Like, he was going to start telling me some philosophy of some group called like Satanists or something like that. But he read the first line and it was basically some creed of theirs, and it was saying that they try to give respect to all living entities. And so then I brought up that verse about the sage seeing with equal vision. And so more or less, he was satisfied with that, and I told him I had to leave, so I didn't have to hear the rest of it. But I took a picture just in case I needed to know later. And he gave a nice donation, and I hope that he reads the books and he achieves the perfection of his life. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Jai. Thank you. Bhakti Jiva Prabhu, would you like to give a highlight?
Yeah. So we were out on Saturday, I think it was. Yeah, it was Saturday. And we had just gotten there. Me and Bhakti Damodar were trying to distribute books. And we were there for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I saw this girl with these cool like John Lennon glasses. And I was like, "Oh, hey, I like your John Lennon glasses." She was like, "Wow, thank you." And I was like, I told her the spiel about the books, and she was like, "Yeah, you guys seem so much nicer than that Christian group that's yelling at everybody." And I was like, "Yeah, we try to be cool, and we try to be nice to everyone." So, and she was like, "Yeah, well, tell me about these books." I told her about the books, and yeah, she took them, and it was a nice encounter. So, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki.
Jai. Can we hear from Bhakta Jacob Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. So Magadari made some Simply Wonderfuls. And we decided they were offered here, and then we decided to roll them all there at the Harinam. And so we're rolling all these Simply Wonderfuls and distributing them. One story with the Simply Wonderfuls is there's a man that was going around picking up the trash. I was like, "Okay, let me go up to him and see if he wants one." And I was like, "Okay, I got some nice sweets for you. You just go ahead and open your mouth." And so I was able to drop the sweet in his mouth. And then a couple steps later, he took it and he liked it. And then a couple steps later, he walked and finished picking up the trash there. And Magadari approached him with another sweet. And he took that in the napkin and popped it right in his mouth too. And so that was really nice distribution. There was a lady who came up. Oh yeah, and Rena gave him one too, and he took it for later. That's right. So he got a lot of mercy. So I forgot about that. And another little bit about the prasadam distribution was a lady came up and she took a milk sweet, a Simply Wonderful, and I was like saying, "Do you want some books?" And she said, "No, I'm Christian." But she just stood there and she said, "I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the kirtan you guys are doing, the music you have." And that was really nice to hear from someone that's practicing that faith, appreciating our practice too. Because sometimes you have so many
not nice interactions with people who identify as Christian. So anyway, that was a wonderful time, and Prasadam distribution makes the mercy get out there for all the materialists that can't take books yet. Transcendental Book Distribution Key.
Yay! Did she take some books after the Simply Wonderful?
No, she didn't, but she stood there for a couple minutes listening to the kirtan. So I was appreciating her appreciating the kirtan. So,
Do you remember anybody that I see you got 6 Maha books. Do you remember anyone that took some of the Maha?
yeah. So with the I really don't remember any right now. Nothing really. I didn't really have that much of a conversation with. Oh well, I didn't distribute any books to this lady, but I was able to share philosophy with her for a while, and she was being very reciprocating. She had just lost a job and she had a kid. I wasn't almost distributed a book. Oh, I gave her one book, small book. So, but she was kind of down and out and was very interested in the philosophy. Yeah, and was receptive.
Which book did you give her?
I think it was like Perfection of Yoga. Her daughter really wanted the book. I gave her a stack first, but she just didn't have the money. So, yeah.
Haribol, Transcendental Book Distribution.
Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Brother Stoli Devidasi, would you share a highlight?
There was a lady that came to the Sunday feast yesterday, and she was really nice. She first met the devotees at Luce Park. She heard them chanting, and she said that was a couple years ago. She didn't take any books. She just remembers hearing the mantra, and she said since then, she would hear, she would just kind of sing or chant in her mind because it stuck with her. And then she, years later, she sees all of us, I think myself, Damodar, and Adeline. We were getting ready to leave UMKC after finishing a program. And she was walking up, I guess, to go to the student union. And she recognized Damodar and, was really excited. And she said, I have one of those, she didn't say chadar, but that cover or shawl or something. She said, my friend was moving to Florida and gave me one exactly like it. And I went camping and I wore it and I felt really protected. She's like, I don't know what it is, but I just felt protected by it. And I was chanting also what you guys are chanting. And she also heard, the Maha Mantra from Our Sweet Lord by George Harrison. So she says sometimes she'll walk down the sidewalk and sing it. And she hadn't received any of Srila Prabhupada's book up until yesterday. And so, yeah, so she's on her way. Haribol.
Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Mridanga Prabhu, would you like to share a highlight?
Hare Krishna. So, I was at the Harinam on Saturday, had just arrived, and was passing out some panapuris and in the bowls. And then, I saw an Indian guy, and I went over to with the teachings of Queen Kunti, and I said, hey, do you know who Queen Kunti was? And he said, no. I was amazed because he was from India, so he didn't know who Queen Kunti was. And I told him, well, Queen Kunti was the mother of the Pandavas. The Pandavas were 5 brothers, Arjuna, who it's in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke to. So he stood looking for a long time, like he was remembering his lot, and then he said, okay, and then I asked for the donation, he gave $5. And then some time went by, I was chanting, and a little while later, he brought over someone, his wife, and I said, oh yeah, hi, and then he said, do you have the Bhagavad Gita? And I said, oh yeah, we have Bhagavad Gita right here, and it was in one of the Bhakti stacks. So I ended up, the they ended up taking the bhakti stack, and then he was looking like in his wallet, like he's looking at the dollars, like he's like trying to figure out like what to give, and then he handed me a 20, and he said, "Can you break this one?" And I said, "Oh, all I have is the $5 you gave me from before, but I'll trade you this five, and then you give me the 20, and you can take the whole the stack plus the Queen Kunti." So that was that. So they got all those books, and I also invited them to the temple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Julan Yatra Prabhu, could you share a highlight?
I'd spent 2 days at Nelson Art Gallery, walking around, looking at all the art. The India room's amazing. The energy that you feel when you go in there is incredible. And there's Lord Virata there, and Nrsingadev, and Vishnu, Shiva, Parvati, and it's just a beautiful building. It's so well crafted, and I really enjoyed going there. I've been here for 4 months, taking care of my dad, and I was going back for a third day because I was just getting some kind of, delight out of going there. But I saw that there was an art festival going on down in Westport, and I'm really into the older building styles. I like taking pictures of them that were built in the 1890s, like this one here. Gothic styles, incredible. And so there's a lot of fantastic buildings down there. I'm taking pictures of them. And I go down and sit by that little canal they have down there. And they have really big buildings there too, right at the crest of it. And I was enjoying all that. And then I had pretty much seen everything I could see in that area. So I decided to walk up this hill, get out of the art festival. And I was looking at a building, another 1890s building that was very well crafted. And I looked up and I saw Bhakta Avatar there. And it was very refreshing to see him. I said, Hare Krishna. And like he said, we talked for a good hour. And that is Krishna leading you. Because I've been away for a while. So it's really nice to see devotees here and see this temple and see my Guru Maharaj, Dhanavir Goswami. It's very touching, very touching to be here. And I thank Krishna very much for this opportunity to come here and do a little service. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I remember you told me you gave out a few magazines there when we were on that street. Do you remember any of the people that you gave a magazine to?
I don't really remember them. It was all such a rush to be around devotees again. Rishi was there too. And I had never distributed books. I tried once at Boulder University in Denver, and I have a hard time talking to people that I don't know, and unless they're devotees, but especially the public at large. And so I did get to talk to a few people. I noticed what Bhakta Avatar was saying to them, and so I picked up a little bit out of my shell and got to talk, to a few people. And so I did give a few pamphlets out, which was very nice. And
was anyone difficult to talk to that still took a magazine in the end?
No, everyone is pretty favorable. Like they said here in Kansas City, people seem to be more favorable. I've lived in Honolulu off and on for 12 years and gone on Harinams out there, and I watch devotees, trying to sell books, and it's actually a tough place to sell books. People are on vacation. They don't want to talk to, religious people, spiritual people. It was very nice to kind of break out that shell and see where Krishna leads you.
Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai. Hare Krishna. So, just a quick notes. So we know Maharaj is coming Wednesday, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami. So today and tomorrow we're gonna be doing a lot of cleaning because this place is pretty dirty. So we'll be doing a lot of cleaning. So today, for the brahmacharis like the Sankirtan devotees, will stay back first from Sankirtan next 2 days and clean. So you could start at 11:30 cleaning 5215 and go till lunch, and I'll tell you some details, and then after lunch also continue till about 5 o'clock or so. So just prepare yourself for your schedule that you'll be doing a lot of cleaning the next 2 days so we can get things ready for Maharaj. And the others, I will let you know what kind of services you can do. Haribol, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Ki Jai.